What's going on, traders? Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you for taking the time here and joining me on the weekly video for the market. We'll go over some analysis and some things I will be watching coming into next week. Of course, the video is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and in no way should be viewed as financial advice. With that out of the way, again, thank you so much for joining. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell. That way you are alerted every time I post a new updated video about the markets. And yeah, so let's get into the economic calendar here first before we get into any of the charts. Definitely something that we want to pay attention to here. On a Tuesday, we do have CPI coming in at 8:30, so that's going to be really the big thing that we want to pay attention to. And see what that data print is. Nothing on Wednesday, really nothing on Monday. We do have initial jobless claims on Thursday at 8:30 as well. So we will be paying attention to that. And then on Friday, we do have core PPI coming in at 8:30 as well. So we'll be paying attention to that data as it comes in. So yeah, I think CPI, everyone really will be watching that, but PPI also not at the same market mover, but important data to pay attention to nevertheless. All right, so that's pretty much it. That is out of the way. As far as earnings, we don't really have too much on the docket this week. Next week we do have NVIDIA, so that's going to be really the last soldier that we have to see what their numbers are. Other than that, just some lower tier companies kind of reporting, so nothing really that's going to move the market. All right, so we're going to start off here with the weekly chart as always and see what we can take away from that. Another strong candle to the upside, just the continuation move higher as we have breached that key level of 500. I really wouldn't say it is a convincing close over that 500. Markets closed on Friday just at 501.20. So we'll definitely be watching that whole number as it stands for some near-term psychological support. But as we kind of went over in our last videos, the main pivot obviously is that previous all-time highs we're going to be watching, making sure that that does not get breached. But we certainly have a long ways down for that even to be a concern right now. So we'll just mark that off. We'll have that up right here, just so we can see. But what else are we really watching here? And we've been talking about a weekly or some type of a weekly lower high to be put in, or even a daily. We still have not gotten that yet. So the strength has just been incredible. We are still watching these overbought readings coming in on the weekly chart. But as it stands, really as long as we're still holding over that 400, really nothing too much to be concerned about, in the near term. And even then, we could pull back. Besides that previous high, we could pull back to retest the top of this balance range. Is totally fine. We were watching this, right? We went over this last week. And we had about a 2-day balance range as well. We'll go over that on the daily, that we are watching for it to be held, a price to be accepted still over that. But any pullbacks into any of those areas still are totally fine and would be natural and healthy, in my opinion, as now we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of green candles. We are getting close to a time where I may actually start to work into a short position, but we are not there yet. So keep your eyes peeled and posted, because I only really will be talking about that on the video, what I'm going to be doing in a little bit more detail. So keep your notifications on, so that way you can find out when I do start really looking into that trade for a potential nice win. Either way, weekly, like I said, really nothing here. You could see the bears did try to push us just a little bit lower in the start of the week, but they just got run over, and really just a strong momentum candle. They're not even any smaller here. As you can see here, we were talking about that questionable momentum waning with the size of the candles, but this week's candle here, another very full-bodied, strong, pushed. We had buyers coming towards the lows and pushed us up higher. And really nothing that looks too bearish on that front. All right, so let's get into the daily here and start to get a little bit more granular, and we could talk about some of those small balance ranges. And I do still have the levels that we went over from last week, but we'll just start it off nice and clean for right now. So remember, we talked about that last week, that this here, we put in that daily lower high. We really were watching right for this balance zone never to be to this to hold, right, when we were watching, and this was only the price action that we had up here. So that obviously held. We didn't even come close to that. We held perfectly right here when we came back down and retested the high of the 19th. That gave us that support there. It was a little bit incomplete. I would rather have seen a little break below and recapture. We didn't get that, but regardless, beautiful retest there, and we have just drifted up higher, kind of creating here a little flag type situation, and we can just put that up right here, right there, with a little balance, and then we just continued up higher from there. So structurally, here we just went into some consolidation, we ran, and now what could be potentially likely, right? We did just push up another high. Now markets, of course, are running or resting. We just made another higher high. We could see some consolidation, right? Now we don't even want to even think. I mean, it's possible about maybe a daily lower high to be put in, right? And if that was to happen, where would I really be looking for? Well, it'd be the top of the highs from February 2nd, right? So I'll be looking really around here, right? If we do start to pull back, to potentially put in a daily lower high right around anywhere in this area. So I'll be watching that. Well, I didn't get that right on the money, but that's fine. But I'll be watching that. It's very possible that this could give us a nice setup, a little fake break underneath 500, and then we move up higher, right? One thing we do want to watch, though, we were talking about that $500 level. We'll see. This could also be potentially setting us up for a fake breakout. Now obviously we don't know if we'll get that or not, and even if it is a fake breakout, how far will we pull back? Well, maybe we could pull back and just come into this retest that high of this balance, the previous balance. But as it stands, what we could end up seeing, and what we might initiate that short trade, is if we break back below 400, back below 500, we come in, come up, and then we come back down, something like this. So we'll see, if we can get a couple more daily closes over that key psychological level, and see, if we can actually start to build up maybe one more flag, high and tight. Sorry, I just froze. There we go. Maybe we get something like this again. We do a little bit more consolidation. Maybe we break down, and then from there, we get one more final move to the upside like this, right? So there's a couple of scenarios there that we'll watch to see if we play out. Maybe we don't even dip below, right? But I'm just kind of saying maybe we get a little fake break, and we put in, some type of a hammer or something like that, and then we make another move. So otherwise, we break underneath. We could see about possibly retesting at 400, and then look to come back and retest this general area. Now, are we going to come right into the wick here? Now, I don't know. Really what you could do is kind of make a zone from that body to the wick and do something like this, and just say anywhere from really 495, 494.50, anywhere from that 469 area, right? So we can have something like that, and any pullbacks into there could be welcome for the next move up higher, as we discussed. So I definitely will be paying attention again to the 400, to the 500. I don't know why I keep saying that, but what I also think it would be worth paying attention to, right, is the high of this previous consolidation right here that we were in. So the top of this balance zone, we can make another little area right here, something like this. Okay, and that gives us around 498 to 498.75. Anywhere in this area could be another zone that we want to pay attention to. If we do start to pull back a little bit, can have that right there for those potential moves. The other thing that I will be paying attention to is yesterday's range, this daily candle's range, and I'm going to take this off. You know, I'm going to leave it on because we just want that up for visualization. But I'm also going to be watching. Hold on 1 second. Okay. The other thing I'll be watching here, if we take we do a fib right from the highs here, and we're going to come up into the range, the total range, right? And this is another thing I kind of like to look at, and we've been over this before on the channel. But as far as kind of gauging where we could pull back into and what we want to be holding overall, we've talked about it many times. The 25% retracement and the 50% retracement. And actually, when I do this, I did this wrong. There we go. Of the move. Now look at that 50% retracement is perfectly at that $500 level. Okay, so that's interesting. But the 25% retracement of this move is probably going to be anywhere, and I'm going to give it a little leeway here to 564. This says we'll call it 65, and you can give it a little bit lower, a little bit lower down into the 550. And honestly, even the market's so strong, we could even say, really just what we could really say to be totally fair with this market is this whole zone. So 505, anywhere from 500 to 525 to 564. Any pullbacks in this area, that's where we're still going to stay. Generally bullish. Obviously, big picture and everything, we are still bullish. But again, if we start to break under that 500, that might cause some of the poorly positioned longs up here that may be chased, that we could see that selling to come down. And again, where would we likely sell down to if in fact that happens? Would be to retest the high of that prior breakout. So that's what I'd be watching for. And then maybe down here in this area, if we are selling, we did break, so catch some type of a short coming through, then we come into here. If this is happening intraday, I probably would be trying a long down in that area closer to 498.75, 80, anywhere in that area. And even what is the high here on the February 8th? It is 498.70. Okay, so give yourself a little bit of room there, but anywhere in that area certainly would be interesting from an intraday perspective as well. But what we really want to see is either consolidation anywhere up above the 50% retracement line of yesterday's daily range. So we've got some levels here that we can possibly work with. We come back in, pull into here, then we look for moves here. Another scenario, pull into here, we look for moves back up, right? You get the idea. Obviously at each level here, you're probably taking a little bit of profits, along the way, but you get the general idea with this scenario, right? Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to go over here from this perspective on the daily chart. But let's take a look at a couple of other things in the market, and then we will sign off. We'll go through this pretty quickly. Obviously, it is Super Bowl Sunday, so we're going to get all ready for that. Let's go into let's take a look at the dollar here. Definitely something that we have been watching with that strength overall in the dollar. Okay, here we are. Now we talked about that flag breakout, right? We had kind of a consolidation, flat top breakout again, and this is one of the charts. Let me get into the other one really quickly. Okay, let me just take these things off here. That's not really needed. Take that off for now. Okay, so what did we say? Right over this 104, or that next target for the dollar, right, is up in that 104.50. That's exactly where we got. You can see here we had multiple reactions in this area. Boom, 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 and that's where we got stuff. Right. So what's going on here? We're still holding over 104. So as long as we're still holding 104, and we could even come a little bit lower, right? We could come in and retest just the highs, the wicks of these highs here at 103.80, 82, yeah, 103.80. So for me, I'm still bullish on the dollar unless we really start seeing price get back under 104 and under the 103.80s, right? As long as that holds, we still have the potentiality to make some type of a move like this, like this, coming up over and back into retesting this key area. If in fact price does start to accept over that 104.50, well then watch out. We're going to be heading, in my opinion, 105, 105.6. Somewhere in this area would be my next target on the dollar, and this could give us a little bit of headwinds. The one kind of divergence here on the market that we're seeing, with markets continuing to make all-time highs, yet we're really seeing the strong move in the dollar, which usually, does not correlate. So very interesting developments there, as far as that's concerned. So it's hard really for me not to be, too bearish on the dollar. Yes, we did try to break over and we didn't break out, but what happened here, right? We broke out here, we made our higher high. Well, here we're just kind of pulling in, making a daily lower high, a higher low, excuse me, for that next potential move. So let's watch this very closely and see what goes on. I've pretty much been kind of bullish on the dollar, or speculating a move in the dollar since down here, and it's kind of really played out perfectly. Regardless, though, the markets just really have shrugged this off, and I think that's kind of interesting to see. But let's see what goes on now with the dollar. Definitely want to keep an eye on it, regardless of the market not seeming to care so far. But right now we're just getting that kind of, perfect. What do we? Oh, that's not the one I wanted. We're getting, that perfect kind of A, B, C. We're just coming, right? So there's nothing really too bearish about this. We just, certainly created that new uptrend on this. So until further notice, we will track how this goes. In the channel, right? So let's see. TNX, the next one. All right. And TNX still causing, it's just very, very interesting right now with the market making these moves and rubbing off, pushing off what's going on. For me, we're still in the danger area. We're over the 41, over 40.75. We had some trouble. 42 is going to be the next big area where, I start to say, okay, what's going on here? Really, we're just kind of trading in a type of, in a range. They were up just slightly on Friday. But power moves still looking like some consolidation here for another potential breakout, but all meaningless unless it starts to show readings over 42. But if we do start to get over that 42, we'll be looking around that 42.75, over that 43.30. If we start to really get over and accept over 43.30, then we do have a gap here that could potentially be filled a little. So we could head up into that 44.30 area and fill that up, and then if we end up holding, the next area here is going to be up into basically 45. So we'll monitor this. We're still in that danger zone, but still compressed under that 42. So we'll see what happens here on the dollar. In the rates, it still looks like this wants to go up. But could just get stuffed. Maybe we just head up sideways here. So it'll be interesting. And of course with CPI, the dollar, and this will react to that. So let's see here. All right, so let's get into some of the other things we're going to look at, or other internals here. VIX futures still just, deep contango. Nothing really nerve-wracking here. Nothing really nerve-wracking on the 9 versus monthly, still under the 0 line. And VVIX is just hanging out, right? We're not even near that 75 where we might be a little bit worried about some type of move in volatility, but just kind of hanging out. Nothing really, no cause for concern there. Let's look at the put to call ratio in the regular VIX. Put to call ratio coming down. All right, looks kind of interesting here. At least we're getting below that that kind of normal reading around that 75. Nothing really too crazy, but we'll watch to see if this develops. Start getting a little bit too much down to this side. We're not quite there yet, but let's see if we start getting some readings down in the 54 area. That might be interesting to give us part of that contrarian signal to say, hey, maybe people are a little bit too positioned long. Not quite there yet, but some developments there that I want to pay attention to. VIX, really no issues here, just hanging out, but right at this strong 12.75 area, $12. Let's see how this could be a little bit of a springboard off here. But as we've spoken about, we're still not over 15, not over 15.75. So really no worries as far as anything from any of the VIX instruments that we like to look at. All right, let's just keep it moving right along here. Now we're looking still at the SPX now. A 50, how many stocks in the SPX are trading over their 50 period moving average? So we were still noting this divergence still going on here on the 50 period moving. We've got markets making all-time highs with this still curling down, right? You'd think Friday session this would be still ticking up a little bit. It is not, so we'll note this divergence as well. Again, really nothing to be concerned about unless we start getting readings under the 50% marker, but we will still pay attention to this this divergence going on. And the other thing, obviously, right now, the moves have been just driven in semis, NVIDIA, SMCI, a handful of names really just propping up the market. We've kind of been over that now for a little bit of time, talking about how the rally's really been concentrated in a few spots. So we know that narrative, but we still will pay attention to these different divergences there. All right, what about new highs versus new lows? Anything coming in here? All right, well, so this is looking a little bit better, right? We came into the 0 line, pushed back up. We were watching this come down, and we were getting, we're watching this divergence, as well. But nothing really to speak of. Now this is perking up in sync with the all-time high. So I think this is a little bit constructive. Maybe even we can say a little head here, shoulder. We're going to see another move over that 250 reading. Okay, let's see. It looks like it's setting up here for maybe a little bit of a move and get a little bit more market participation overall, which would be nice and healthy, right? We don't want it so concentrated just in a couple of names. That's not really what we want to see overall. All right, I don't think there's anything else going on that I really wanted to bring out as far as the internals. Okay, this little divergence here in the bonds starting to look a little bit better, so that is good. Okay, we're watching that slight move down, but it seems to be working itself out. Okay, perfect. Let's get back into some of the regular charts here and look at SPY maybe a little bit more from a day trading perspective. Let's get into that. Oh, actually, you know what I wanted to do? Let's take a peek here at our here we go. Just wanted to see if these weekly trends, if we were getting anywhere that we wanted to be a little concerned about. Not quite there yet, right? We're going to see what happens if we can make it up to this next trend line from here. So nothing yet, but I did want to point it out that we are getting a little close. But we'll watch. Let's see what happens when we get up there. Still these hot readings on the weekly. What about the daily? Have we overbought there yet? Yes, definitely. Very interesting. But we don't have enough things lined up yet for me to take a stab. But we will. Or at least I will. Alright. Let's go into... Okay. Something I wanted. Okay. Alright, so SPY was a real pain. I haven't really been trading it too much, but SPY was a real pain here. As you can see, spent a lot of time basically in this balance range, right? Could not get over, could not get out, and then finally we broke out of the balance range. And you can see here on Friday, where were the lows, right, that we retested. We came back. This was the prior balance. We came back in, retested the high of that on Friday, right around that 498.50. That was the lows, and then we got the rest of that move to the upside here once we broke out of the orb. So what else am I going to be watching? Well, we went over some of those other levels on the candle retracement. So the other things that I will be watching for tomorrow is the highs of this breakout, right? Right around in this area here. I'll be watching to see, hopefully we open up maybe, and can give us just, I don't really want to be buying long up here too much. We'll see if they give us an opportunity for any pullbacks into that 500 area. It's really what I'm going to be looking for overall. As long as we can hold over that, I'll still be looking for longs. But really, it's going to be a hard move. I'm only really kind of going to be interested in short. Yes, we talked about if we start to break under that 500, but just from this intraday perspective, even these lows right down here around 499.35, 499.30, we start to get under that. Well, that's when the trend for me really is going to start to change. And then we could look for the potential moves back down towards the Friday lows. Maybe we get a double bottom there. That's possible. Maybe we only trade into here. Maybe we do break under the 400. We only trade into here, and that's where we actually see the bounce. But the key areas for me, I'm going to need, for an actual, new balance range to be created, going to need a little bit more price action data. Of course, we have CPI as well, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. But definitely watching these areas here if we do get any more severe pullbacks. But the key areas, at least from that intraday perspective, that I'll be watching is going to be the highs from up here, right? What is this? The highs from around 11 o'clock. That gave us the next move higher. And then these swing lows from around 11:30, around that 499.30 area, right? We start breaking into that. I'll be a little bit more confident in a potential short. But for me, obviously, and as most of you guys know, it's been buy the dip market mode. We want to go in the general direction of the daily and the longer time frame trends. So, we're going to keep in that mindset until proven otherwise, right? Of course, obviously, we'll be taking a look at the other market internals to help maybe guide our decision. We were getting some really actually weird readings earlier last week with market breadth was down overall, and we saw the markets continue to push higher and higher and higher, right? But we still will watch, keep an eye on that. But it's been very interesting as far as from the internals perspective. They shaped up over the in the last few days of the week, but you can see here a lot of the sectors were strong on Friday. Not too much red. The readings in the VLD, they weren't blockbuster by any scheme of the imagination, but still above zero. You can see here though where we were getting horrible reads on the VLD, and the market actually kept going up when we were getting these readings, which was very interesting here. And you can see back on this, what is this? Oh, that's the 10-day. You can see on the ADD here, we were just, not really, we were above zero, but it wasn't super strong. And if we actually go back I gotta change this to the 10-day. You know, this is when we were getting some of those weaker reads, but the market was still going up. So it's very, very weird, very interesting. But as it stands, I will still be paying attention, right? Am I going to be totally buying every dip if everything is in the gutter? Yeah, I'm still going to go with the buy the dip mentality, so, until proven otherwise. Again, of course, I'm going to be watching the key levels and everything. But if I do still see like negative readings in the internals, sectors are weak, ADD is down, the inflows are more bearish, I'll still be taking the longs, but I'm going to do it with smaller size because I have less of the market kind of backing me up. And certainly, yes, the market, as we spoke about, has been driven by a lot of the semiconductor space, and they've propelled the market relentlessly, but it still is a lower edge trade. So I still, even though I'd be going along, just taking it a little bit more cautiously, as eventually, buying the dip. We're going to have one of those days that's that trend day down, and we're down maybe 100, 150 points in the NQ. And buying the dip won't work one day. It doesn't mean, of course, that that we're going to be crashing or continuing to just die, but we do get those outlier days, right, where just the buyers are not there. So we just want to be cognizant of that as well. All right, so I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over. Short and sweet. Let's see, we're going to get some more data. Let's see what CPI does, if it shakes up the chart at all, and we'll have more information. But those are some key levels I will be watching. I did a poll on Twitter to see who wanted to get a video on SPY, who wanted one on ES and the futures. It was a dead heat, very, very close here. So I'm going to give a little bit of our futures love here. I'm going to be looking here. And now, again, we don't have too much data, but I do have this potential new balance range here on the futures that I will be watching, right? So any retest, if we come back to retest this prior balance anywhere in here, still bullish. Of course, we've got the psychological 5,000, but it is farther away from here. But so for me, as long as we're holding over for 50, 20, 50, 17, anywhere in this area, definitely something on retest here. I'd be looking to potentially be a buyer from the intraday point of view, but gonna pretty much doing the same thing on SPY, right? I'm gonna be watching the highs, right, from here around that 50-30. Okay, we could say 50-30, anywhere from up here, right? 50-30, 50-33. I'll be looking for potential moves into there for potential longs, and also if we come back into 50-25, 50-24, thereabouts, I'd also be looking to potentially be a buyer. I can do this kind of like that, right, and kind of say 50-27 to 50-24, about a 3-point stop there for a potential long trade as well. But this would be the first area that I'd probably be watching, anywhere from that 50-33 to 50-30, for hopefully we get just a better trade location. I'd much rather pull back in here and get a little bit better R to R than being a buyer up here. If I had to be a buyer up here and they didn't give me a choice, all right, 50-40, I'll watch. Maybe 50-39, 1 point there, just to see if this area can be held. But I'm not as keen on that. Just from the location, right? But maybe we come into here and then we make that move and come and try to take out, at least test that previous high, that 50-49, 50. If we get over that, well then 50-50 will be the next target to the upside. So there's some of the futures levels I'm looking at for anyone that wanted that. The poll was so close, so I figured I'd throw in a little futures sauce for y'all. All right. I hope everybody has a great evening with family and friends tonight. Let's go Niners. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Really appreciate it. Check out my link tree. Has a bunch of links in there of companies that I like, support. Use my code, help support the channel if you'd like. Otherwise, that's all I got. All right, guys, take care. Have a great one, and we'll see you on Monday.